Okay, welcome everyone to this afternoon's webinar on anonymous assessment in Moodle. So anonymous assessment and marking in Moodle, although Moodle actually calls it some blind marking, allows you to grade students' work without seeing any identifiable student information. So what I'm going to do is talk through how to set it up, and then how to mark it and how to give the feedback to the students. Alright, just before we get started though, just want to highlight how best to communicate with me. So I'm going to talk for about 15-20 minutes or so, just going through presenting a sort of live demonstration of Moodle. But if you want to ask me questions, you can see on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there's a speech bubble. If you click on that icon, that will give you the access to the chat room, the instant messaging. So you can text a question, or if you have any queries, just put it in there. Normally during these webinars I'm assisted by a colleague, but this afternoon I'm on my own. So what I'll tend to do is go through my presentation, and then if there are any questions at the end, I'll address those questions at the end. But as I say, I'll speak for about 10 or 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, depending how it goes. Okay, so what I'm aiming to do is to look at these four key things. So first of all, how to switch on anonymous or blind marking in Moodle. Secondly, how to actually then view the student submissions. Thirdly, how to actually download and mark the student's work, and then how to actually reveal the grades of the student after the marking has been done, and then finally how to return the marks or feedback to the students. So it's kind of a circular process that I'll talk you through, and I'll do that in terms of a live demonstration. So what I'm going to do now is just go into Moodle, and this will just take a few seconds to load. So I'm going to go to a Moodle site that I have set up, and you'll probably see in your screens in a few seconds you should see in front of you now actually a view of the Moodle site. If you're on a mobile device, you might actually have to accept the sharing of that screen. Okay, so most people will be familiar with this setup. So at the top, we've usually got places where we can put the assessment or the assignments, and then we go through the weekly content. I've got two areas up here. I'm going to go into this heading that says group assignment, and first of all I'm going to show you in terms of how to actually set up an assignment with anonymous marking. So first of all, you need to go up to the top right hand side of the screen and turn the editing on. So it's a little green button. Click on that button, and what we're going to do next is add an assignment. So I'm going to click on add an activity or resource, and then choose the top option in terms of activity, assess, assignment, and then go add. And after a couple of seconds, we've got all the various options that we'd normally have in terms of setting up an assignment. So I'm going to set up this assignment, so I'm just going to call it student assignment, and there is a space where you can add any notes about the assignment. So I'm just going to type in there blind marking, and if you want the description to be seen, just click on the box there. You can add any additional files. If you had an assignment brief, that would be a good place to put it. I'm not going to go through all of these settings, but first of all, I'd always check that the assignment dates are correct. So first of all, check that the due date for this assignment is correctly set. This one's set the 9th of May 2018. Personally, I'd always make sure that the hand-in date is during office hours, so I'm going to put this for 1 o'clock. Okay, as I say, I'm not going to talk through all these settings here. What I'm going to go straight to is how to switch on the anonymous marking. So if we scroll down to the option near the bottom of the page, and you'll see the heading grade. So if you click on grade, and then you'll get the drop down box. Again, towards the bottom of that drop down, you'll see the heading blind marking, and what you need to do is switch this from no to yes. Okay, so that's all you need to do in terms of switching on anonymous marking. I do need to point out, at the moment, the default is actually no. So you do need to go in there and switch that to yes. The next Moodle upgrade, LSBU, will be the last week in July. So therefore, from the 1st of August 2018, the default option will be yes. So as the university goes completely over to anonymous marking, you will not have to actually switch that to a yes, because that will be the automatic position that will yes will be switched on for you. Okay, once you've switched that on, it also means that if you're using Turnitin, you can still enable the Turnitin by clicking back to yes as well. I'll keep it switched off, but note here it says the separate Turnitin anonymous marking settlement has been removed. Turnitin will use Moodle's blind marking settings to determine the anonymous marking settings. So in other words, once it's switched on in Moodle, it's switched on in Turnitin as well. Okay, once you're happy with all those settings, scroll down to the bottom of the page and then click on Save and Return to Course. And basically that's it in terms of setting up the assignment. So we've set up the assignment and it has now got blind marking in it. Okay, so that's the first part, the first aim. Second aim I want to do is go in and show you now what it looks like in terms of seeing it now from perspective of where assignments have been submitted. So I've already got one prepared, so I'm going to go into the second assignment here that says assignments brackets anonymous marking. So if I click on here and then go view all submissions, this is the view that we've got here. So in this particular example, we've got 4 students 1, 2, 3 and 4. Blind marking, or i.e. anonymous marking, has been switched on, and the first thing you'll notice is that we now have, rather than seeing the student's name or ID number, we now see that there is a column called identifier, and Moodle randomly generates a number for each of the students. So as you can see, that first one is 1120276 and so on. These numbers here do not refer to anything else that the student would actually the student number or any other number. It's something that just Moodle generates itself. Okay, so that's the look, and that's how we actually see. So we can see here now 3 of the 4 students have submitted work for grading. It's not been marked, and we can see 3 of the 3 assignments that have been submitted where it's got file submissions. So we can do 2 things here now. We can actually look at each student individually and mark their work, or in turn we could download all of the students' work and mark them again anonymously. So I'll look at these two options in turn. So let's look at the first one. So we look at this student at the top of the list, and if we wanted to grade this student's piece of work, what I need to do now is first of all click on the file submission. So that will open this particular document down here. I can then go into the actual submission. It's a Word document, and if I wanted to, I can go in there and actually mark the student's work. So there are different ways of doing this, but one very common way is to actually add comments, and you can go down and add comments if and where you see appropriate. So something like that, you know, so it's up to you how you do actually do the marking within the Word document. Okay, once you've done that, you can save that document. So go File, Save As, and save it on your PC where you want to actually save it. If I go to my documents, once you've put the comments, it's worth naming the file something different. So call it number 2 or with comments or something like that, and then you can save that document. I'm not going to do that now, but then you'll have the marked piece of work. Once it's actually marked it, then what you can do is actually upload it into Moodle. So to do that, we click on the grade button, and the page loads in terms of, and it gives us quite a few options in terms of what we can do to give feedback to the student. So the first option is to give the actual piece of work a mark. So I'm going to give this 67 out of 100. The next box, we have the option to give some feedback comments. So here we can type in some general feedback, and we can type in as much as we want there. And then also we have the actual option to upload the student's piece of work with any individual comments that put on it as well. So I'm going to go to where I've saved the assignment with comments. I'm going to add that and upload this file for this particular student. So just to recap there, I've given the student a piece of work, mark, I've given it an overall comment, and then I've actually uploaded the student's piece of work with some individual comments in the text. Once I'm happy with all of that, I can save the changes. So I'm just going to go Save Changes. And what that does now is uploads that feedback for that student, and we can view it now in the Grade Center. So if I scroll along there, we can see my overall comments, the file I've uploaded with any individual comments, and the actual grade for that piece of work. That's if we want to do the work individually. Alternately, we have the option to download all of these assignments in one go. So this is the second option. So to do so, we click on the drop down box at the top of the page, and it will give us the option to download all submissions. So this is very useful for us. Say we're a lecturer, we want to download all the file submissions, maybe put them onto a memory stick so that we could we can mark them off-site or even on the go on our laptop or something like that. So I'm going to download all submissions, and can you see what it does at the bottom of the page? It downloads all of these assignments here in terms of a zip folder. Okay, so that zip folder will open will be saved on the downloads of your particular of your PC. So it will go here, and then you can actually save that. So maybe save the whole zip file somewhere, or to actually go into the individual files, you would right click and then go extract all. And then what it does, it separates out the individual files, and you can go in and mark them in a similar way to which I've just showed you individually. Once you've marked them all, what you'd have to do then is to re-zip the file, and then you can go back into Moodle and you can upload the files. So upload multiple feedback files as a zip is the option there. Make sure if you choose that second option, you do not rename the file types. So you must use exactly the same file names as they were downloaded for that to work. But it is obviously a much easier way if you've got a big class and you need to mark all their assignments all in one go. It's a very useful option there. Okay, so that's how we mark individually, or we mark the whole class. The final stage is really to once we've marked them, and as I say, we're still in the anonymous marking mode, and we've uploaded all the grades. What we need to do then is to actually reveal the student names. So first of all, reveal the student names, and then actually return the feedback and marks to the students. So again, to do so is to click on the download at the top, and then the third option down is to reveal student identities. Now, can I point out here, you must be 100% certain that this is exactly what you want to do, because once you reveal the student grades, you cannot then go back and then make them anonymous again. Okay, so it's a one-off decision that you have to make. You reveal the student identities, but you cannot go back and then make them anonymous again afterwards. Once you've done it, there's no way back. So I'm going to click on there, and then as a double check, its little box has popped up and it's asking you the question, are you sure you want to reveal student identities for this assignment? This operation cannot be undone. Once the student identities have been revealed, any marks that have already been released via marking workflow will be released to the gradebook and available to the students. So it's just saying it in more formal language than I've just said. So once you're happy with that, click on continue. And as you can see now, the identifier has gone and it's been replaced with the student names. So these are dummy student accounts that I've created, but normally you'll see their first name and surname, and you will see their student ID numbers. But this is after the marking has been done. Okay, so all of that has been complete. The very final thing then to mention then is in terms of making sure that the marks go back to the students. Revealing the students' grades does not mean that the marks have been released. We need to release the marks to the students. So again, there are two ways to do this. We can do it by individual student, or we can do it by the whole class in one go. You're probably more likely to do it as a whole class in one go, but I'll just show you how to do it individually as well. So individually, we click on grade again, which is where we uploaded the feedback, and this time we go to the drop down at the top of the page and we go from not marked to released. So just to show you again, we choose the released option, scroll all the way down, and then save changes and go OK. So what this means now is that for that one individual student, Dell Sandpit Student 1, we can see that the grade of 67, the feedback and the comments will be released to that individual student, and it confirms that there in the column where it says released. If we want to do it to the whole class, then what we need to do is underneath the grades we need to go to set marking workflow. So this is the bottom option. I'll just make sure make sure that you've got all the students, so you might just need to click all the students on at the bottom there if it's not there. Otherwise, if it's on just 10 students, you'll only be releasing it to 10 students. So double check that all assignments are on the page, and then click the bottom option, set marking workflow state, and then click go. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Before we do that, we need to select all the students. Once we select all the students, the page changes color, and then we set marking workflow state and click on go. And then go OK. A new box turns up, and then for all of those students we want to release the grades, so we click released, and we have the option there as well to notify students by email as well, which is probably a good idea, so that the students know that their grades have been released. And then we click on save changes, and as you can see now, all of these students' assignments grades have been released, and this is confirmed in the status where it's got released, 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 and so on. And that's it. So basically I've taken you through the whole process now from beginning to end. Let me go back now to my slides. So it will just take a couple of seconds just for my slides to come back up. So that's it in terms of the overall cycle, in terms of setting up an anonymous assignment, viewing their grades, downloading their work still in anonymous marking mode, marking the work, revealing the students, and then sending the grades back to the students. Outside of this webinar, if you do need any help on especially the marking side of things, you should have in Moodle, on the home page in Moodle, there is a how-to guide for Moodle. If you go into that particular module, you can download support material in terms of handouts, or watch some videos in terms of further explanation for all the things that I've just gone through in the last 15-20 minutes or so. Okay, that's it for this afternoon. I will leave the chat room open for a little bit longer. In terms of the next few weeks, there isn't a webinar next week. In fact, the next couple of webinars are in a couple of weeks' time. So on the 23rd of May, we have a Moodle site health check. So really in that one, that was just talk you through what really needs to go into a Moodle site. And then a couple of weeks after that, there's a Getting Moodle Ready for the next semester, which will go through the process of being able to copy content over from one semester to another, and then some of the key features you need to do to set up your Moodle site for the new semester. Okay, as I say, I'll leave the chat room open for a little bit. If you need to contact me, you can do so. My name's Chris Rowell. My email address is rowlc@lsbu.ac.uk. So drop me a line if you need any further help. And I will make this recording of this webinar available probably in the next week or so. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to stop the recording now, and that's it for this week.